Hi everybody, I'm on my front porch again and I have another book I want to read to you called From Sheep to Scarf. I want to read you this book because this time of year, farmers and shepherds and people who own livestock, that's another word for animals like pigs and sheep and cow, people who own sheep are starting to cut the wool, which is the hair of the sheep, off, and they often sell it to make clothing. So this is a story about that. Many sheep and animals are also having babies this time of year. From Sheep to Scarf. Here is a shepherd watching over his sheep. Every day he takes them to a meadow so that they can eat grass. His sheepdog helps him. The sheep grow thick woolen coats. Every spring the shepherd cuts them off. This is called shearing. The sheep will grow new coats over the summer to keep them warm next winter. After the shepherd has sheared his sheep, he puts the wool into the bales. The bales are loaded onto a truck and taken to a factory. The factory is called a spinning mill. At the spinning mill, the wool is spun into yarn. Today, this is done by large machines, but long ago it was done by hand with spinning wheels. First, the machine combs and untangles the wool. Then it twists the wool into long strands of yarn. The yarn is still the color of sheep's wool, most of it white or the color of cream, but some of it may be gray or black. The light-colored yarn can be dyed different colors. Now the yarn is ready to go to the stores where it will be sold. Emily is buying some yarn for her grandmother. Grandmother is knitting a red scarf. She uses 2 long, straight knitting needles. The ball of yarn is still big, and the scarf is already long. What else can grandmother make from the red yarn? Now Emily has a hat, a scarf, mittens, and socks, all made from the red yarn. All of this beautiful wool came from a sheep, and it will keep Emily warm all winter long. So that's my book, From Sheep to Scarf. I have something here to show you, which is that I have my own wool from a sheep, and I got it from a farm last summer, and it was really stinky because sheeps don't take baths, and they are outside all the time, and hay from the barn gets stuck to their fur, and they're really oily animals, so it was kind of stinky, and it was not good for making clothing. So last summer, some students at Monzio helped me clean the wool. So we soaked it in big buckets of soapy water, and then we dried it in the sun, and we did that several times, and now it smells good. It smells fine. So first, I had to clean my wool. Next, and let's say years ago when people did this from home, the next step that they would use, since this was before people had factories that did this, they would use cards. These are my cards. They're kind of like a brush with bristles. And I would put my wool, my clean wool, in between the cards and pull. This is going to pull apart the fibers of the wool and make it softer and easier to weave into string or to spin into yarn. So here's my soft wool now. And my last step, I don't have a spinning wheel. That's what people used to use to make yarn to sew clothing. There would be a big wooden spinning wheel and a pump that you would put your foot on to make the wheel move. I don't have one of those. I wish I did. So if I did have one of those, or if I had a drop spindle, that's kind of like a big piece of wood that you would wrap some of this yarn around, and you would spin it so it would begin to twist yarn, twist and pull the wool to make kind of like a string like this. And from then I would start to roll it and store it in a big, on like a bobbin, and I would be able to use it to sew something. So like a sweater or a hat or a scarf. So that is where wool comes from, and wool is in much of the clothing that we wear in the winter time because it's nice and warm. So that's the story from Sheep to Scarf.